Hey guys, what's up and welcome to the channel. I'm the Shotgun Shogun, and while I do know that Mui's information has been out for a week, and you would have gotten my first-hand review of her if you were watching my 24-hour RTA stream during last Wednesday, I didn't get to make a video because, well, I was pushing RTA at the time, and then things kind of fell behind. But with her coming out tomorrow, I wanted to make this video to kind of go over where I think that she's going to fit. I've had a week to kind of think it over, see where things are going, really kind of digest it. But we do have the potential looming limited summer servant coming, so I want to go over a little bit of information about her. She's not limited, obviously, so that might skew things just a little bit, but we're going to go over some builds, some theoretical theory crafting on where she will fit into RTA and Arena, because let's be real, that's pretty much what every single unit that has been coming out is more geared towards, is RTA, because, well, PvE is not real hard. So let's take a look at the video. We'll go over that, and then I'm going to go over some of, like I said, my gear suggestions, team suggestions, things along those lines, and what role she's going to play against certain meta units, right? Now, I do really like her animations. Her outfit is a little weird. I don't necessarily like the frills around the midsection. She does have some nice assets, though. The voice actress is real super cute, but let's get into more of the stats, right? And the animations. I do like the whole whip thing, especially the fact that it's like a glowy laser whip, which is pretty cool. Now, actually, we can go over just the actual. I'm just gonna move over here to the actual skills over here on Epic 7DB. By the way, a lot of people do ask me what site that I use to gather my information from. It is epic7db.com. I really like their whole layout. It's very crisp and clean. And so we're gonna go over skill 1. This is Lash, right? So this attacks with the whip with a 65% chance to inflict a random debuff for 1 turn. Now that's actually pretty cool. There are a specific set of debuffs that this is going to be able to inflict upon your enemy. One of them is Silence, which is real big. I believe there was Attack Down, Defense Break, and I forget which the other ones are. But it's real big, and you can get this up to a 75% chance. Now, let's say you're running counter. That's going to be real big, right? If you're running with some double attackers, that's going to be real big. Just the chance to hit that debuff, and she's going to be very debuff centric. And I actually think that that's very, very high meta in RTA, is very, very debuff centric. And you have a lot of control, a lot of strip, a lot of debuffs. So she's going to fit very well in higher metas, in my opinion. Now, this is going to be, like I said, pretty good. You can soul burn this to have a 100% attack percent to inflict a random debuff for 2 turns. Now, it does only go for 1 turn, but if you are building her very fast, very effective, which is going to be one of my recommendations here, you are going to be able to get those off before your other DPSers. And even if, like I said, if you get a Silence off, that's going to screw them over for that 1 turn. Now, her S2 punishment, this calls upon a tamed monster to attack all enemies with a 35% chance each to inflict 2 bleeding effects for 2 turns and a 65% chance to stun for 1 turn. Now, this will go up to 75% chance. No, actually, this goes up to 80% chance because I can do math. So this is going to be an 85% or 80% chance to stun and a 50% chance to inflict 2 bleeds. The bleeds, cool, I guess. The big thing here is going to be that 80% chance to stun everybody for 1 turn. This is on a 4-turn cooldown, but that's actually pretty quick. If you can stun everybody, that is going to just disable everybody on the other team. Not only that, but if you are building her high effectiveness, this is going to be real big. Now, I know 80% might as well be 50-50, but it is what it is. Now, the other nice thing too here is that you don't have to go very deep down into the tree to get that percent right there. Now, on the first one, again, you only have to put +3 in there. So this is very Molagora friendly. 3 Molagoras for the first one, 3 Molagoras for the second one. We're going into her third skill. This is a 5-turn cooldown. It'll be a 4-turn cooldown after you put 3 Molagoras into this. This drives monsters forward to attack all enemies, dispelling 2 buffs and granting increased attack to all allies for 3 turns. Now, one of the big things here, when I first saw this, right, is I was like, you know, it would be really good if you could double up with her into, if they would have made the soul burn instead of the 100% chance for the S1, if they made her S3 to give you another turn. That way you could strip, you could give increased attack, you could put bleeds on, which you're going to do more damage because you have increased attack, and you're going to have that chance to stun. So, but actually when I thought about it after the fact, I was like, yeah, that'd be real OP. Like, you're not only stripped, but you're now bleeding and you're stunned, and their team is going to be able to just open up on you with all of their S3s all over the fence. She is a warrior, so you wouldn't have things like an R and L to do that. One of the interesting things with her is potentially running creation destruction in order to prevent prevent possibly 20% chance to literally not have cooldowns. So you could just, you know, be like, oh, hey, you want to see me do this again? 100%. It would be very meme worthy. But the nice thing here is, in order to get to where you need to be with all of her skills, is only going to require 9 Molagoras. Now, if you're not worried too much about her damage, because like I said, I think she's going to be a very good fast opener controller. You could actually build her because she doesn't require any crit damage or anything like that, crit chance. She would be a good candidate for a percent attack next, so that the bleeds will do more damage since it's based off of your attack. So this is going to be, she's going to be a very interesting build, right? Normally I don't suggest attack percent main stat next because you just get so much more out of percent crit over a percent attack, right? Because, well, percent crit damage is going to be just way bigger. With the likes of Flitica, you have to have almost a crit chance neck in order to get your 100% crit chance for your S3. But with her, you can build her very interesting, right? And so the nice thing too is, if you don't have to build high crit chance, if they do happen to have an ML Ken or a Little Queen Charlotte or somebody who, you know, does something off of crits, right? Those two are the biggest, you know, people. You're going to be having as much of a chance to crit. But again, even if you have 10% chance to crit, it might as well be 50-50. So realistically, I would actually, so what I would do is I would suggest getting your 1-turn cooldown on your S3. But if you only have, let's say you only have 3 Molagoras, I would actually prioritize S2 because you want that extra chance, right? It gives you an extra 15% chance. 80% chance to stun everybody is real huge. Ask anybody who goes up against an A Tywin. This actually, she's going to be really good with A Tywin, right? Because you can cycle AoE stuns and slows and bleeds and strips, and it's going to be really big, especially if you build her very fast, because she's going to just start lapping and it's going to be very heavy control. Her S3 I would prioritize second to get the 1-turn cooldown, and then I would go +3 into her S1 as the last one, because yeah, so that's actually really good. Because I don't think that she's going to be a very heavy damage dealer, I don't think you need to +15 her, so this makes her very economical, right? A lot of people, when they see a new unit, especially myself included, are like, new unit, imagine having Molagoras for a new unit. But at 9 Molagoras to be effective, almost to her max, because like I said, I don't think you're going to really need too much in the way of damage with her. Now, it will be nice in the future if you do want to further invest in her, because you do get a 10%, an extra 20% on her S1, you get an extra 25% on her S2, and you get an extra 25% damage on her S3. Now, honestly, Typically out of those, I would probably prioritize the S2 and then S1, because you're not going to be using your S3 nearly as much as you would for the other ones. So what kind of build are you going to want to go for with her? Well, first off, it's really nice because she has crit chance imprint for everybody, right? But she has the dual attack imprint for herself. Now, I can't imagine too many of you out there are going to be triple S-ing her right out the gate with the limited servant potentially looming on the horizon, but it is something to look at in the future with that dual attack chance. If you do end up maybe getting lucky in the future off of covenants, off of 4 or 5 star tickets, something along those lines, and you do get a couple of imprints into her, she actually, both of her imprints are very good. Now, however, I would probably run her as the group imprint just because having extra critical hit chance is really, really good, especially in like PvE situations or arena situations or guild war situations where you can optimize your whole build and team around having that extra critical hit chance. So, maybe you could squeak out another 20% critical hit damage if you could get another 9.6% critical hit chance. So there's a big thing with that right there. Now, in terms of speed, she's 115, which seems to be what a lot of units are being released as these days. She does have good health, good defense, good attack. So overall, she's going to be very, very fast, right? At 115, she's no slouch. That it makes her able to really be up there with some of the faster units in the game. Are you going to be outspeeding a maxed out K-Ron? No, absolutely not. Are you going to be outspeeding a maxed out Assassin Sid? No, probably not. But you will be outspeeding quite a few units. If nothing else, you're going to be pretty on the quick side. Now, if you're not going super, super fast, I would suggest probably speed immunity, just because you don't want to get CC'd into them CCing your CC'er, and then you are just going to have a bad time. Now, another thing too here is that if you do want to build her with crit chance, because she has an inherent huge crit chance here, right? 27% after all awakenings. This is a good opener to push into a CDOM, right? So if you do, let's say, run a crit chance neck to give her 100% crit chance, it's going to be a lot easier because you have that extra increased crit chance inside of her kit, and you will be able to get there really easy. So that means if you're fast, if you high crit, you just boom, pop that CDOM forward. CDOM pushes your 2 cleavers or whatever it is you're bringing, and then you're good to go from there. So that's a really big thing as well. She can be a CDOM initiator. She has strip on 2 buffs. This means that basically she is there to just brutalize Fallen Cecilia teams, because typically with like Faithless Lidica, you only strip 1 buff. So if you can't break the shield, you can't strip the immunity. Whereas with her, she doesn't care about shields. She'll strip your shield and your immunity. Oh, that's really cute that you put up 2 DN buffs. Those are gone as well, both of them, your attack and your anti-crit buffs. So those are both going to be going, bye-byes. Now, in terms of artifacts, what artifacts would I use on her? So if you're going with just straight up artifacts, let me actually show you her artifact. I don't think her artifact is very good, right? So it opens up, if you have it at maxed out, plus 30, increase the caster's effectiveness by 50% at the start of the battle. This is going to decrease every single turn by 5% until you're down to 25%. This is good, I guess, if you're going to open, but I feel like you should be building her high effectiveness anyways. If you just feel like you can outspeed everybody, a speed hit is really good, because I know that if you've been farming Wyvern, you've probably got some just baller hit gear, and I would probably go with a main stat effectiveness ring. You're going to want to have like 175, 200 to strip and disable the typical support as well, because the higher you go, the more your supporters are going to have high effect resist, right? 150 is kind of the baseline for high champ legend support, and you want to go 200 plus on most of them. But I would say if you wanted to go with anything on her, probably you could go with Merciless Glutton. This actually increases your combat readiness by 15% when an enemy is defeated, but it also has a 100% chance to increase your effectiveness by 2 turns, or for 2 turns. So that's going to be real big because you are going to have your increased effectiveness, right? Personally, not a big fan of it that much, right? So you could run Cradle of Life for increased debuffs on the S1. That could be, you could just be disabling even more because you're going to have decreased hit chance, decreased attack, poison, and bleeding. Those are, I believe, poison and bleeding is not something that she can put on with her S1, so you don't really have too big of an overlap there. I think hers is blind, decreased attack, silence, maybe defense break. I think maybe defense break. I could check at some point, but I think that actually, yeah. I think that those are really good. In terms of other things on her, Junkyard Dog would work because then you can put burns on for more just disables. Personally, I'm really going to go with Creation Destruction on her just so that I get the refresh memes there. Herberous Tooth might actually be pretty good because you want to stack attack, right? If you're not going for the C-Dom pusher, you're going to want to stack attack, in which case your Herberous Tooth is going to be just boosting up a lot of your extra damage. So like, let's say right hand side, you go attack neck with effectiveness ring and speed boots, right? Chances are you're going to have a good amount of attacks so that whenever you're doing your AoE abilities, right, you're going to, or you're not going to hit them on AoEs, but you will be hitting it on your S1. So whenever you're doing your S1, you're going to be doing that extra damage, right? Now, if only she could use drink, right? That would be real good. I don't think that Draco Plate's going to be good for her. Sigurd Scythe might actually not be too bad because, especially if she gets low, because she does have those AoEs, she's going to be getting back just a metric pile of hit points. But you could really go with like a Strax or a Sepulchrum, because this is going to reduce the amount of damage that she's going to be taking, because she's going to be fast, because she's going to be very high effectiveness. Chances are she's not going to have the stat pool in order to also be very tanky, also be high damage. So this could definitely be good to keep her around. This is going to, you know, reduce that damage the longer you go, and I think that that would be very good option. Durandal would be okay, but not very good because realistically you don't want her to get down too much. I think Junkyard Dog would actually not be too bad in general. If you're going to try to go for something where she can't be disabled, Crimson Seed or Timeless Anchor is going to be better over like a Strax Gauntlet, because chances are you're not going to build her very high effect resist. She's going to be very fast, so Crimson Seed's going to cycle very, very fast as well. So that's going to be really good. Out of the you know, overall 4 and 5 star warrior only artifacts, that's probably what you're going to want to go with. But for 3-star artifacts, you can use Curse Compass. This is going to give you that 50% chance of 50% effectiveness at the very onset of the match. Now, the downside is after that it's a dead artifact, right? So this is going to be one of those ones that you use, let's say, if you are trying to make her a C-Dom enabler, right? Outside of that, there's not a ton of 3-star artifacts. I really like Rannon's Memorandum for the speed, but again, I don't think that that's probably the best option on her. I do think, though, that running like a Sepulchrum or Proof of Valor is probably going to be one of your best bets, just because it is going to prevent that damage so that she can stick around, so that she can do more debuffs. But overall, I do think that if you are going to be running her, you are going to want to run speed hit or speed immunity. I don't necessarily think that if you are trying, I'm on artifacts, that's why it wouldn't show her. I do think, though, that if you are going to be running her, like I said, you're going to want to be fast and you're going to want to be very high effectiveness. It'll be interesting to see if anybody runs her as like a mid-range DPS, kind of like an Alencia of sorts. I do actually want to see both of those teamed up, because you can pretty much assure that they will never, ever have a buff on them ever again. And one of the team comps that I think actually is going to would be really, really good for her is the likes of Captain Rickorous, right? So not only do you have her strip, but you have Captain Rickorous's strip and a stun. But the big thing for her is that he can increase speed and he can reduce cooldown on his S2, meaning that that's going to make this a 3-turn, S2 a 3-turn cooldown, and it's going to make her S3 a 3-turn cooldown as well, because this will be down to a 4-turn. This will still be 4 turns, so you can cycle those a lot faster, meaning that her S3 will have, if you have Captain Rickorous, her S3 will have a 100% attack buff to uptime. As it is, this will only have a 1-turn downtime for a team-wide attack buff, and strip on 4 turns is real big, because by the time their buffs are back up, you are ready to strip all of them again. So she's going to be good if you want to run her in a straight hardcore control team, putting her with the likes of an ML Rin, a Dizzy, a Sage Ball, a Fire Tenebria will all be very, very good, because you have the strip, then you have the CC into it. You have her S2 that's going to be stunning after you lap them again, so they, you know, are just never going to have a turn to go. You could put her with the likes of Cerise as well, because then they're going to be slowed, they're going to be stunned. You have the single target stun to stun anybody who didn't get stunned through Mui's S2. But I do think that she's going to be a very, very powerful unit. Debuffs are very, very big higher up you go, and having the strip is real big too. So if they're not running immunity sets, right, you can open with the S2. You don't necessarily have to open with the S3. You can wait until their DN goes, or their maid Chloe goes, or literally anybody else goes, and then you can strip what they just put up and then just kind of hold that. Sometimes, like with Alencia, you'll see Alencia's not do their S3 right out the gate. Now, the nice thing with Mui is that your defensive abilities aren't tied to her S3 strip like Alencia. So you can, boom, just Alencia right out the gate, leave her for the next time around, and then strip whatever came out, and then you have attack buff as well. So that's going to be really interesting to see the way that they play out. I might try running her with a Fire Dingo and a Captain Rickorous, just for the crazy amount of turn cooldown, because she does have fairly short cooldowns on that. If you ran both of those two, you would have almost like a 2-turn cooldown on her. You would be able to AoE stun every other turn. Add in like an Ice Domino, and they will never get a turn. But anyways, I do think that she's really good, but I would wait until near the end of her banner to see what they're dropping for a limited unit. If we get a limited unit, we're going to get a limited unit. That's pretty much how I imagine that's going to go, just to see what the limited unit is and who would fit better into your kit. But I do think that she's going to make a big splash on the RTA stage. I've seen a lot of other high level players talking about her already. I know Cafe Kaz has talked about how good she is, but I do think that she's going to be very, very strong in the current debuff meta. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing around with her. I'll probably pull one and then see where it goes. I do also, like I said, like the fact that you only really need 9 Molgoras in order to really do what you need to do with her. But anyways, guys, that's my take on her. Like I said, I think she's going to be good, but I do think that you should hold off on pulling for her until around the end of her banner so that we can find out what the next unit is. But let me know down below what you think about her. What do you think about her overall aesthetics, her abilities, her animations, things like that? Looking forward to seeing what you guys say down there. As always, if you guys did like this and you're not subscribed yet, consider hitting that subscribe button. I would very much appreciate it. But if you also want to help out, I do have a Patreon. You can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, join the Discord. I do stream most days during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I do the Wednesday streams of their streams where I go over everything there live. So if you want to tune into that, have both of them up, feel free. But I always appreciate you guys sharing out the content to Facebook groups so I can see people tell me how wrong I am. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy, homies. Peace.
Crack it.